All right. Hey, everybody at home. What is up? We're here with the Rebel Roundup today. Myself, Tamara Ugolini, co-hosting or hosting, I should say, in place of our regular host, Sheila Gunreed, who has an exciting interview today. So stay tuned for that because I think it's going to be a good one. And I am joined by my co-host and friend, colleague, Lise Merle in Saskatchewan. And hopefully we have a better, less leggy discussion today. And leggy, I mean Lag, not leggy. How you doing over there, Lise?
I'm great, honey. It's so good to see you. And it's so good to be with the people of Canada today as we sort of distill the day's news and events wherever we find you guys in the world. So yeah, great day to be on the show.
Yeah, we have a lot of really great topics to chat about. I mean, I would say, arguably, we always do, but we have Carney and Trump on a hot mic moment. We have immigration and foreign interference. Surprise, surprise. That seems to be just the flavor of the day every day here in Canada. And Toronto shootings. I mean, also no surprise for many people there. But if you're just tuning in, or if you're a regular watcher, viewer alike, you can support us a few different ways. So we're streaming on primarily Rumble and YouTube. And if you're joining us over on Rumble, which we love to support because they didn't censor us throughout COVID, the COVID hysteria, and still really to this day, when you talk about anything pharmaceuticals and especially vaccines, you have to be careful what you say on YouTube. And so you don't need to be on Rumble. So you can give us what's called a Rumble rant if you're joining us over there. Or if you're joining us on YouTube, which I know can be a little bit more seamless, and sometimes people are just used to their old YouTube MOs. So you can give us a super thanks or a super chat. Super thanks post show after we've concluded if you enjoyed the show and want to support us. And then a super chat if you're wanting to support us while we're live. And then we will read your comment, tip, or trick live on air. $5 or more monetary donation to our cause. Help us keep the lights on and keep everyone bringing you the truth of the day. So let's get right into this. This is a hot mic. We have Carney trying to sell Trump on Chinese electric vehicles. We know that Canada has brought in roughly, well, almost 50,000 Chinese EVs in the last few months through this new partnership that we seem to be forging full steam ahead with Carney, aligning us more with the Chinese Communist Party than he is the likes of the Trump administration and our long held strategic and security partners in the United States. So here you see him trying to kind of weasel his way into selling Trump on the idea of bringing these electric spy vehicles also into America.
Yep.
I'll fill in the blanks after.
I thought you'd actually like it.
Okay, so what they're talking about there is the deal with China to let 49,000 Chinese-made electric vehicles into the Canadian market. The Prime Minister is reassuring the President because the Americans do not like this, not even a little bit. And the argument from our Carney is that this is only a little bit of the Canadian car market, about 3%, those 49,000 vehicles, reassuring him there's a hard cap, a quota on these cars. So China won't be able to saturate the market like it's done here in Europe, where the Europeans went with tariffs and the Chinese just paid the cost and ate the cost to get into a dominant market position.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that this is anywhere from, approximately 20 to perhaps almost 40% of the electric vehicle market in Canada. So that's a fair share of electric vehicles coming into this country. He says less than 3% of our market, but I believe there's some discrepancy on whether or not they're the new battery electric vehicles versus, I guess, the old ones. I'm not super up on the electric vehicle kind of space because, well, I don't want one and I don't really care to own one. And anything that the government forces onto me, I'm like, I just want to do the exact opposite. So that's how I feel about the electric vehicle situation in Canada. But I think that Trump is kind of also just pacifying Carney at this point. Like you can tell that
Placating
he's,
him.
yes, that's right.
Placating him.
That's a better word for it. And he's kind of just like, yeah, I like it, but you know, I feel like if you could see his hands a little bit better, he might be like, move along now, go sit back down.
Right. Why are you telling me these numbers on these Chinese spy vehicles that you're bringing into the country? No, I feel like this is exactly the kind of like backroom whisper deal that Canadians are saying they don't appreciate anymore. And 3% or 49,000, like this, you know, I think that he probably wanted to make it sound like it was a minimal number. And Chinese spying put aside, 49,000 vehicles. That is a lot of vehicles that aren't going to be made in Canada, guys. Like what Mark Carney just admitted there on Hot Mic is that he has no obligation or has no has no intention of protecting Canadian auto industry jobs. We watched the entire auto industry flee to the United States after the tariff war started. And we're just seeing Mark Carney here betraying another one of our major industry drivers in favor of a whisper deal he did with China and now with Trump. Like it's wild.
Yeah, this comes on the heels of the decimation of the auto industry, especially here in Ontario. Durham region, massive auto industry just being completely decimated by the tariffs and this deal that Carney campaigned he was undoubtedly going to secure and has failed to do so. Windsor, I mean, Ontario has a massive auto sector and it has been completely decimated. And what's Carney doing? Well, he's whispering sweet nothings into the ear of President Trump and saying, hey, look, we're bringing in, oh, it's only less than 3%, but has done nothing to help the auto sector and to save it from the decimation that it has been facing, other than bringing in, you know, like COVID era adjacent benefits to people who are losing their jobs en masse. This is such an embarrassment. And I think Trump, who has campaigned and held firm and followed through on his campaign promise of putting America and Americans first, is probably just thinking, what a joke is this guy is.
Yeah. Move along. Move along. Trump, as I said.
Go along
Trump
now.
just said, move along now. Sir, would you move along? Thank you.
And, you know, tightening this up, we have this piece coming from Blacklock's where there will be a loophole for China to continue to deploy and employ or exploit, I should say, slave labor. So this slave bill loophole for China, the Communist Party of China, Cabinet would gain exclusive powers to exempt China from a slave labor ban under a new Commons bill. Prime Minister Mark Carney has already guaranteed Chinese automakers market access for just shy of 280,000 vehicles with slave-made parts. Like, this is the government that refused to call what was happening to the Muslim Uyghurs in China. They refused to call it slave labor. And now here you see them granting exemptions to slave labor for Chinese automakers, exactly the same ones who are bringing these battery-powered electric vehicles into this country, which Carney tries to say is less than 3%, but I have some numbers that directly contradict that and put it more at anywhere from 20 to 40% of our total market.
Yeah, no, this is a grotesque example of how people can trade their morals really for a low price product. And what people need to understand is, even though you may get this for a cheaper price than, say, a Tesla, you know, a Chinese made EV, you may get it for cheaper than a Tesla, but you're also trading your autonomy, your data, and contributing to this really outrageous human rights abuse. Slavery is bad all the time, not just some of the time. It is bad all of the time, and it should be condemned in its on its face.
Yeah, and the best way to drive that point home is to hit people where it hurts, and that's their wallet. That's their wallets, their pocketbooks, and their economic drivers. And
they just greenlit 40,000 of these to be imported into the country. It's kind of insane, actually, when you think about it.
Absolutely. They greenlit it. They're giving them exemption for slave labor made parts. This is just acquiescing to China again and again and again under the liberals. And the United States, they've held firm. President Trump, he's distanced himself from China and entities that also acquiesce to China, like the World Health Organization, for instance, pulled all their funding, pulled out of anything to do with them earlier this year. And so when he has Carney whispering into his ear, like, oh, it's only 3%, I have a feeling like he said, oh, I like that, but really he does not at all.
Yeah. It's an easy way to brush it off, going 3%. That doesn't sound like a lot until you consider that it's 49,000 vehicles that have A, displaced Canadian industry, and B, are going to spy on Canadians and Americans when they drive over the border. So this is, it's just not, it's interesting the way that he snuck it in there though, hey? Like, just quick tell you that it's nothing, and like nothing to worry about here. And Trump is like, okay, well, it's something for Canadians to worry about for sure.
Yeah, and tell that to the auto sector that's been decimated by your failed ability to secure a trade deal.
The Canadian auto sector that does not rely on slave-made parts. We should just make that real clear.
Yeah, we can decimate them. No big deal. We'll just give them a bunch of government handouts, even though they're ready, willing, and able and wanting to work. And yet they can't because of the trade aggressions and lack of ability of Mark Carney to secure any form of a deal, despite campaigning on being elbows up and going into those corners hard against America and against Trump. And what he's made everything worse.
Oh, every time they're
economic mastermind.
Every time they're in the same room together, it's obvious who the big dog is. Like, it is obvious who the big dog is. And it's not Mark Carney acquiescing.
And then meanwhile, I can't even stand it. Oh, wait, was that Macron right there, just folding his papers, looking also like just a child in the background? Anyway, meanwhile, Mark Carney has announced that they're keeping the pressure on Russia. So not China and their slave labor market. They all get exemptions and a free pass and bring your spy vehicles into Canada. But Russia, big bad guy here. So he's announced on X and I guess all of his socials that Canada is one of the biggest supporters of Ukraine. Yeah, we know. We said billions.
We're aware. Yes.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Standing with President Zelensky at the G7, I announced that Canada is imposing more than 160 new sanctions on Russian individuals, entities, and vessels, because this apparently is going to keep the pressure on Russia to negotiate peace, a just and lasting peace for Ukraine, and I guess also for Europe. And I was hoping this was the clip, but it's not, because they probably don't have too much to say.
Well, yeah, go ahead. Let's watch.
No, it's not. It's just a photo of them because they don't have any more. What are they going to say? It's been how many years, and we've sent how many billions of dollars? Like what's happening that's new? He's putting the pressure on Russia to negotiate peace. Well, guess what? We want you to negotiate a deal with Trump. Can we put the pressure on Carney to finally secure a good trade deal for Canada? Why are we meddling in this proxy war still?
Exactly. Why are we meddling in foreign wars that have nothing to do with us? While public infrastructure crumbles, while crime is skyrocketing in the country, while the borders are open, why are we not concentrating on any of these things at home? It's really quite sad. It's actually quite telling the amount of effort that the government of Canada puts into looking like they matter on the world stage, when in fact they could just deal with things at home like we need them to, and things would be a lot better for Canadians if they narrowed their focus.
I like this comment here from Vesper right under the post by Mark Carney. He says,
the best.
Meanwhile, you're setting Canada up for potentially one of the biggest financial scandals of our times, spending and handing out money like it's candy. We're deep in debt, and you're just enriching yourself and your cronies. Yeah, Ukraine was embroiled in scandal. I believe that was just about a month ago that all came out with their energy sector and being part of the government and all of the corruption and the money laundering and the fraud and the gaming and the scheming. I mean, This
Yeah,
is
like
rampant in Ukraine.
the way that their elections are currently being run, like it's really
They're not.
quite concerning. That's right. It's really quite concerning. And yet they would tell us that this is, Ukraine is on the forefront of defending democracy around the globe. While they gaslight us. I mean, this is not democracy. This is not democracy. And again, Canada should have no involvement in this whatsoever. When we have homeless people on the streets, when we have veterans that are unable to access healthcare or support services, when we're offing our own citizens via MAID, to the tune of tens of thousands of Canadians a year because they can't access the services and healthcare they need, and we're over here glad handing with the soy boys over there from the left wing politisphere. Get bent, take care of Canadians first. That's your job.
Yeah. And you can't forget also just, the pocket change of a couple $100,000 here and there for gender just rice in places like Vietnam.
I can almost guarantee you that they spent more on the flight to this event on food than would cost you to buy a house in Saskatchewan to live with your whole family. And not joking. Like, that's how much money they're spending. It's wild.
Priorities. All right, this next clip, we actually have a clip of Prime Minister Carney praising President Trump for negotiating a 60-day ceasefire with Iran. He says that Canada and G7 allies must explore ways to strengthen resilience in energy and commodity systems against future shocks.
The peace deal or the ceasefire deal, the 60-day truce. I know President Trump has worked very hard for this, as has the Vice President, the Qataris, the Pakistanis, but all the countries in the region supporting this. So Canada very much welcomes this progress. We'll have an opportunity starting from tonight at the G7 in Evian to see what we and other countries can do to help reinforce this important progress that's been made, and also from a broader regional perspective, including in Lebanon and beyond. And I guess the other thing I'd say is that it underscores one of the things we'll work on going forward, when I say going forward from this evening, is how do we make our system, our energy system, our fertilizer systems, our other commodity systems more resilient, so the people of Ireland, the people of Canada are less affected when there is conflict, when there are shocks. And I spoke to President Macron about a few options on Friday, and under his leadership and President Trump's and others, will look to make progress there.
I think that the way that we could probably be more resilient is by not being the only economy in the G7 in a technical recession, whatever that means. Like, how are you even talking right now? This is embarrassing.
Yeah, no, it is embarrassing because Trump is proving that he can deliver peace through strength and negotiation. Okay, there is a way to do that. And Mark Carney is just delivering suffering and high gas prices to the people of Canada. Like, these two things aren't the same, Mark. You don't get to come in here in a photo op and try and take credit for what Trump has been doing for the last 60 days. He came out, when tensions flared in Iran, Mark Carney came out with this sort of milk toast. We're committed to do, peace and whatever, and taking all sides, listening to all sides, and just whatever. Trump goes in there with the hammer. It's like, we're going to get this done in 2 months, and I like that energy. I like that energy a lot. This whole Canada will meet with the others, and we'll see what we can do. I like the Trump peace through strength.
We're going to keep having conversations. We'll go and we'll jet set and we'll eat the caviar and the filet mignon. We'll just talk and
you guys couldn't. They couldn't do that over Zoom. They couldn't do that over Zoom. All of these world leaders couldn't line up their tech just like we do on this program and have those conversations over Zoom. No, because of course, like Tamara just indicated, there's not caviar over Zoom or fine French wine. Yes,
that's right. Yes, bottles, endless bottles on taxpayer dime. But I love that you use
barrels,
the word milk toast.
Barrels, even milk toast.
Because Mark Carney, he is actually both like the definition and what you would picture as a person when you say the word milk toast. He just embodies all of the milk toast. When I think of soggy bread, this is Mark Carney's face. Anyway, so he's saying he's so proud of President Trump for working on this deal and this agreement. Again, can you just get us a deal? Can you work on an agreement with President Trump to get Canada back in the market and, equal playing field again on trade and security and our closest neighbor and ally on all fronts? Like, let's get a deal here. Carney, what are you doing? It's such an embarrassment. Like there he is, just being a complete piece of soggy bread.
Like super soggy bread. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that, just in the opportunity that he had to have Trump's ear. Like, he didn't do anything to advocate for Canada in that moment. Did you see that? He advocated for China when he had Trump's ear for 3 seconds. That's really telling and quite embarrassing, actually. Surprising for such a esteemed and established and exalted and educated Mark Carney, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Instead of highlighting the trade tensions and the effect it's having on Canadian auto workers, he was like, it's only 3% of Chinese spy vehicles that we're bringing in, so it's okay. Doesn't that sound great? We all just love it. We love China now. Come, be our friend again. It's just like, I don't even know who he thinks he's talking to, but we'll see as CUSMA negotiations, wrap up. We have nothing. We're just not going to have any deal rather than a milquetoast deal. So we'll
Word
see.
of the day, guys. Word of the day is milquetoast.
Milquetoast, and Mark Carney as the literal definition, and what's the word I'm looking for? Like visual representation of soggy bread, soggy toast. That is it. All right, let's go to a quick ad break, and then we'll come back for some immigration and foreign interference topics.
For generations, many Canadians have preserved more than just firearms. They've preserved history, tradition, competition, memories. But under Trudeau, and now Carney, heirlooms, estates, collectibles, and competition firearms now have to be surrendered and destroyed. While violent gun criminals get pass after pass, openly ignoring any legislation, lawful gun owners are trapped in an increasingly unfair legal system. But we can help. Canada's National Firearms Association's Save Firearms program offers the legal pathway to preserve what matters, while we work towards a political solution. Don't let yours be next. Save history, save heritage, save firearms. Visit nfa.ca today to learn more.
Canada's been told to just quit smoking for decades, same message over and over, and yet millions of Canadians still smoke. So let's ask a follow-up question. For those who don't quit, what about change? In 2026, Canada has options that didn't exist years ago. Smoke-free alternatives for adults who would otherwise continue smoking. That doesn't mean risk-free, it means informed choice. If you don't smoke, don't start. If you smoke, quit. But for those who don't quit, change could still be part of the conversation. That's why Canadians should check out unsmoke.ca, an information resource focused on smoke-free alternatives and honest facts, not judgment. Put the lighter down, Canada. Learn what your options are.
In Canada, firearms owners like me understand the importance of safe, effective self-defense options. That's why we're proud to have Byrna as a sponsor. Byrna's less lethal launchers are designed to help protect you and your family without taking a life. Byrna offers peace of mind, accessibility, and a practical layer of personal security for Canadians who value safety. Learn more at byrna.ca/rebel. That's byrna.ca/rebel.
Do you have pride fatigue? Are you exhausted by the thought of another Pride season force-feeding rainbows down our throats like it's mandatory? If so, I'm Lise Merle from Rebel News, and I'd like you to meet Buck the Rainbow Unicorn, my 3-time Amazon best-selling children's book that stormed to the #1 spot on Amazon's global hot new releases in the wild 2 weeks before Christmas. And I'm just wondering, would it be possible to keep him trotting up the charts? You see, Buck is convinced that he's a rainbow unicorn, From his lustrous mane and sparkling feet, he's a full drama queen. Until one day, a wise little girl and his family gently break it to him that he's actually not a rainbow unicorn, but a perfectly healthy horse. The reviews for Buck the Rainbow Unicorn are unreal. This is a must-read for all children. Well done. A wonderful take on a currently twisted topic in today's society, and a refreshing message for kids. A heartwarming, laugh-out-loud rhyming story about honesty, imagination, and self-acceptance. This Pride season, skip the fetish parades and instead share the gift of truth, love, and prairie pride. Visit bucktherainbowunicorn.com to order your copy today. Thanks.
All right, this next story is kind of a feel-good depending on where you stand on the immigration front. And it's that the Liberals have abruptly suspended citizenship certificates issued under the Lost Canadians law. So that's officially known as Bill C-3. It was an act to amend the Citizenship Act, and it basically restored Canadian citizenship to people who they say were unintentionally stripped of or denied due to outdated, whatever that means, historical provisions. So for instance, if you were born in a foreign country, but your parents were Canadian citizens, you weren't automatically granted Canadian citizenship. Right. And that all changed. I think it was just in December that they made, they amended, December 15th, 2025, they amended this Citizenship Act to include lost Canadians. And so now the government's swiftly walking all of that back because thousands were granted citizenship certificates after that change. And now they're suspending a number of them from people around the world who at that time did become eligible for citizenship. But I found it really interesting. So of course the CBC is like up in cahoots about this, and they can't believe the injustice now that these people are having all of a sudden their citizenship suspended. But I think it was the third or fourth paragraph down, they said that basically these people their citizenship has been suspended because they didn't have any original source documents with their applications. So it was just like a trust me bro situation.
Right.
And so here they say that as this documentation was not submitted with your proof of citizenship application, they're requiring the surrender of your certificate of citizenship. I mean, this seems super kosher and legitimate.
It seems like they might have sent out the citizenship certificates a little bit early before actually going back and fact checking that they met all of the criteria to receive them. That's what it sounds like to me.
Right. Exactly.
Something got carried away in the bureaucracy. They were like, certificates for you, certificates for you. It was like Oprah Winfrey, a car for you, certificate for you, certificate for you. And then they realized, oh, well, maybe all of these people don't qualify and we should quickly walk that back. But I do believe that this on the whole is a good thing, considering we're full. We're at capacity. We have no vacancy in Canada right now. And so until we can get a hold on our immigration a little bit, the out of control spending, the housing market, the impacts on the housing market, the way that this has suppressed wages in Canada, and the overall, way that the Liberals' approach to immigration has harmed the country. I'm kind of happy that some of the certificates got taken back.
Yeah, exactly. Immigration has been out of control, dwarfing historical averages for the better part of 4 going on 5 years. I mean, 2022 and 2023 were absolute, just skyrocket on the graphs of the amount of people that were just open arms, open the floodgates, immigration into Canada. And so how could any bureaucracy or system keep up with that influx? It's massive. And I'm talking 2 to 3 times higher in some sectors and areas because there's refugees and regular immigrants, there's the temporary foreign workers, there's the international students, and the nexus of all of these various immigration subsects just reached a complete overload and overwhelm. And so now you have the Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada going, well, wait a second, we just let everybody in and we didn't actually check that they were appropriately vetted or that they were actually eligible under these new rules.
And at the same time as they were letting all of these millions of people into the country, they were telling us, actual Canadians, that we weren't allowed to go anywhere, that we couldn't do anything, that we, that if we were not going to kill grannies at Thanksgiving, that we would stay home and follow the rules. And I just think that this was such a, it was just such a sleight of hand that they pulled on us, the Canadian public.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm getting back to this notice. So the CBC relies on this notice that was signed by Peggy Sun, who's a registrar of Canadian citizenship. And part of the notice reads that the purpose of the letter is to inform you that I have information in my possession that indicates that you may not be entitled, right? You're not entitled to hold a Canadian certificate of citizenship. And so you actually have to provide proof when you make this claim. And so the woman that they feature for this article is a woman named Valerie Campbell. And they picked a really great photo of her. Might I add, if we just scroll down a little bit more, you can see the screenshot of this poor woman of Bucksport, Maine. And she looks like she's in shock, and she looks just disheveledly in shock. But she's the one that they chose to include in this article. And her and her son Morgan, they received their citizenship based on family roots in Quebec and Ontario. And she began packing and started moving. And now all of a sudden she says that this suspension notice came out of the blue. Okay, well then just submit your documents and you should be good to go, right? And I don't think this is the average, Joe Schmo coming from Maine actually has roots in Quebec and Ontario. That's not who this is targeting. It's targeting people who are actually ineligible and who just tried to capitalize and further exploit Canada's generosity and the opening of the floodgates that I've already spoken about, who were not, never intended to be part of this program. That's who this is probably targeting.
Yes. Yeah. And she's just over the border in the United States. She's not fleeing a war or a conflict, or, there's nothing pressing that would chase her over the border from America, unless they were taking the Rainbow Railroad. Has she considered getting her son to say that that's why they're coming? Maybe she'd have better luck. They don't tell anybody on that program.
Yeah, by the looks of her, maybe they will utilize that that claim. Now we have the latest data from Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada that shows that the number of new workers and international students arriving in Canada has continued to decline in 2026. For the period from January to April, Canada saw 73% fewer arrivals of new students and temporary workers compared to 2024. That's great. Yeah, I guess. But I suppose that would also compare to 2023, which I believe was the year that it was massive. Yeah, it does show it on this graph. Over 120,000 total arrivals since December of 2023. So that was both work permit holders, about 30,000, and then study permit holders, so international students, just over 95,000 of them in December of 2023 alone.
That is
that is massive.
Yeah, and the number they use, even though it sounds like a meaningful number, 73% reduction, I feel like we were 600% too high, though. You know what I mean? And if you think of 73% on 600, well, then it's not that good. Until we start seeing less people taking up room in the country, we're going to have to do more. We're just going to have to do more. Yeah.
And there's a sneaky little program that no one really talks about that I keep meaning to go back and double checking to see where their data is, but it's the International Mobility Program. And so that's another category where it's not temporary foreign workers necessarily, it's not international students, it's like its own subsect of those these workers. And they also, so it allows for foreign workers to come into the country without a labor market impact assessment. So that LMIA is supposed to be a check and balance in place. So employers have to prove that they couldn't find a Canadian to fill their job vacancies, and thus they're, under the government's doublespeak, more justified.
Sorry, can you bring that back up, Olivia? Why on earth are we bringing foreign people in to fill needs that support Canada's economic, social, and cultural priorities? Bringing in foreigners to work on Canadian culture is the antithesis of Canadian culture. How is this even being allowed to happen?
Yeah. And so this is a program that so many people just don't even know exists. It doesn't get spoken about and is actually easier to exploit than the temporary foreign worker program and the international student program.
Because there are less loopholes that they have to jump through to qualify.
Exactly.
Is what you're saying. Interesting.
Yep. And so I would be interested to know if anyone has the link for that data, or if you've looked into this, anyone in the comments or who's watching the stream right now, let us know if you have anything on this program specifically.
Yeah. International Mobility Program, the IMP.
Yes.
Offers Canadian employers the right to hire foreign workers without needing. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. This is amazing.
So that LMIA, the labor market impact assessment, that is an assessment that's required to, justify hiring a foreign worker instead of a Canadian, because the employers have to prove.
This is the program that our friends over there at Tim Hortons like to use, right? The Lima program, right?
Yes. Yeah. Those LMIA impact assessments. Yeah.
So then where are all of the employees that are coming under the International Mobility Program going? What sectors are they going into? Because I bet it's sector specific, Tamara Ugolini. I bet it is. Anyway, all of this to say, there's another government agency that we have to look into, guys.
Yeah, but this,
if we don't, who will?
Exactly. The mainstream media is not doing any of this work. They're giving merit to people who were inappropriately applying to a legislative change from December, who are all of a sudden shocked that they didn't provide any evidence or proof that they deserve or are entitled to a Canadian citizenship. And they're now shocked that they're all of a sudden being denied. And so that's who the CBC, that's where their editorial weight stands behind.
Of course it is.
We have this video here of a senior public safety official says that he can't recall the last time he spoke with Public Safety Minister Gary Anandasangri about the foreign interference registry that we're supposed to have in place. I believe that was part of Justice, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, the Foreign Interference Commissioner. That was one of his prime recommendations to counter and prevent further foreign interference, was to have a registry. And of course, unsurprisingly, the Liberals have just failed to implement any of that.
For that, I know you indicated at the end of your testimony, but you can't provide a specific timeline. But can you give us a ballpark as to when the registry will be up and running? Because you appeared before this committee in December, and your testimony then sounded a lot like your testimony today, and we still don't have a registry in place. So do you have a ballpark?
The only thing I can say is that we're very, very close to the finish line.
Yeah. It's been 2 years, June of 2024, since Bill C-70 was passed. That would have established the registry. The Liberals promised that it would be up and running in June of 2025. Then it was December of 2025. Then it was the spring, and now it's almost the summer, and we still don't have a registry in place, and there has been no timeline, no transparency from the minister as to when that is going to happen. How often are you in contact with the Minister of Public Safety regarding setting up the registry?
We are briefing the minister's office on a weekly basis.
What was your last communication with Minister?
People are insufferable.
I can't recall. Briefing with mainly with the minister's office.
And the Minister?
I spoke to the minister yesterday, socially, but we discussed that.
No, on this issue.
On this issue,
That's out of the way. Good.
I can't remember exactly.
You can't remember?
No.
So it's not often?
Well, it's mostly with the minister's office that transactions are made.
Okay, so it's great to know that the government of Canada is putting their social needs before the national defense of the country. Let's not forget, we have bad actors from China, bad actors from India, bad actors from Iran, all flooding into the country. And this is not a pressing thing for these guys. You see, they can just see each other glaze over what they're, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going golfing. What are you doing this weekend? Oh, painting the chateau. This is not important for these guys, and it shows.
Yeah, we have over 700 IRGC agents in the streets of Canada, like unbeknownst to where and like who they are.
Yes.
And these guys are like, yeah, okay, let's go hit a round of golf. Cool. What are you up to this weekend? Oh, you're hitting the cottage? Oh yeah, me too. Great. Let's go to the Muskokas. No big deal. Nothing to see here. Yeah,
that's embarrassing, especially because there's no ever any accountability with the Liberals, okay? But then where does it deviate into just willful incompetence? We know that there are going to be no consequences if we don't take accountability for this, and we're just going to kick the can down the road. Like, where does it stop? Where does it stop? And I really fear that it is with an event or a series of events that are going to hurt Canadians. That's what I'm really scared of. While these guys drag their feet and socially touch base, but don't touch on the things that actually matter to the country. How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
Yeah. Textbook, classic ivory tower dwelling behavior. Yeah. Just completely out of touch, no sense of reality, and the everyday issues that are plaguing your severely normal and average Canadian and what they care and are concerned about. Mm-hmm. And speaking of foreign interference, so Toronto Police Chief Myram Demkew has paid respects to Constable Mark Pinizzotto, who was the officer killed in the line of duty 2 weeks ago now, executing a search warrant which was linked to the shooting at the U.S. consulate back in March, which the police at that time told the public there was no public safety concern. Newsflash, turns out there kind of was. And it was linked to terrorism. And I would be hard wager a bet here that organized criminality at play. And so this is something that the Liberals obviously, as you can tell, Public Safety Minister Gary and Nsangari, top experts, they're more concerned about what's happening socially than this kind of behavior and criminality proliferating on the streets of one of Canada's largest cities, Toronto.
As part of this investigation, we executed a number of search warrants and arrested 2 individuals. A third individual, also alleged to be connected to these incidents, has been previously arrested by the Halton Regional Police Service in April and has since been charged with multiple offenses. Also in connection with this investigation, there's an outstanding suspect, Zara Jabi. We are doing everything we can to find and arrest him. During the operation last week, one of our members, Constable Mark Pinizzotto of the Emergency Task Force, was shot and killed. This is an incredibly difficult moment for all of us. Mark's family has lost a husband, a father, and a son. And as a service, we've lost a colleague and a friend. This is an SIU investigation, but I can say that the suspect in Constable Pinizzotto's death is in the hospital right now, in police custody, and will be charged with first-degree murder. The members of our emergency task force are amongst the highest trained officers in this country. They respond to the most dangerous calls. They protect this city. They safeguard their fellow officers. And they serve with exceptional courage. We owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude for the risks they take and the sacrifices they make each and every day.
Yeah, he says it's a difficult moment for all of us, undoubtedly. Horrible tragedy. But this is a preventable moment for all of us. The fact that we let in hundreds, if not thousands, so we willingly, the Liberals willingly let in people who are charged with serious criminality and criminality. Over 2,000 of them last year, in 2024, they gave exemptions under the temporary residence permit and extensions issued by this government. I'm just going to pull it up here because I keep going back to this and I want to drive this point home. Page 36 of the 2025 annual report to Parliament on immigration. We let in serious criminality. There's two different sections. 980 people were given permits who were flagged as having serious criminality, including being convicted of an offense that is punishable by at least 10 years in prison or more than 6 months in the Canadian equivalent. And a different subsect of this is criminality. So you have just regular, normal criminality, and then you have serious criminality. And under the criminality subsect, there's 1,325 people were granted exemption and given permits into this country. So combined, and that's just in 2024. Every single year, we let in security risks, people who have been flagged by the government as criminals into this country. And then we act surprised when this is the proliferation of public safety and disarray that is unleashed onto the streets. You can see there, serious criminality, 980 people, and then just regular criminality, 1,325. And there's more like misrepresentation, which I would say is also criminality because you're misrepresenting yourself. Non-compliance with the act, 3,090 people. That's also kind of criminality. You're not compliant with the act. That's our law. And then there's health grounds and then other provisions. So who knows what that is, 1,200 of those. So let's not act surprised that this is the fallout of those horrible policy decisions.
Yeah, no, as a matter of fact, it is the heartbreaking and predictable result of Liberal failure, both on the immigration side and on Liberal catch and release. Because when they view criminals and criminality as something to have empathy for, well then the criminals are going to have no impetus to change their bad behavior because they know that the government looks upon them favorably. There is no strategy that says, yes, we acknowledge that you're a criminal and that you've done terrible, unspeakable, awful things in your home country, but do get in here, guys. Get in here and just try and do better when you arrive in Canada. But at the end of the day, the chief and the entire institution and the entire, system that is set up is going to survive. But right now there is a family that is in deep, deep grief over their intensely personal loss. This loss is going to reverberate through the next 5 decades of their lives, and our thoughts are very, very much with his family today.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the thing that people fail to remember is that this man had a family. He, at the end of the day, was just like you and me, and his job just came with higher risk than ours.
And I can't help but think because at the very beginning they did say that there was no risk to public safety. They did say that there was no risk to public safety, when in fact, if you have a police officer killed serving a search warrant, that is a risk to public safety, and it was a risk to his safety. It was a risk to his safety, and he paid the ultimate price. This never should have happened. People like this should not be in the country, and we should not tolerate this as a polite Canadian society. Not
Yeah.
whatsoever.
And Chief Demke confirms there that the other person, the other man that they do have in custody was shot and is suffering gunshot wounds in hospital. But he made it very clear that he was out on bail. He had previous charges against him.
Wow.
And so, yeah, the catch and release, the tolerance of letting criminals into this country. I mean, if we can't even crack down on people coming into this country who are criminals, how do we expect to crack down on criminals who are already in this country? We're just letting more in. Like, let's just pile it on. This is crazy to me. And so this morning, Mark Carney came out and said that Bill C-14 is now law in Canada, which made more than 80 changes to the criminal code to tighten bail and sentencing laws so that catch and release seems to have been tightened, if you take his word for it. And it's to keep violent and repeat offenders off of the streets, to keep you and your community safe. I mean, I think the Conservatives forced their hand on this one, and you can see the public safety concerns playing out on the streets. I mean, the political timing is so opportune given this officer's untimely and tragic and preventable death.
But that's part of it, right? Like, that's part of it. Announcing this announcement before the ink on the obituary is even dry is a little bit rich. I think is a little bit rich, and it's a little bit trying, because there is again, there's a family in crisis because their dad was shot by a bad guy that, you know, was in the country, probably in the wrong capacity. But all of this to say, we should always endeavor to do what's good for the country. And I'm not assured that what the Liberals, we've seen them do this so many times. They gloss over their bad acts with really sparkly announcements. You know, oh, the Liberals are so pleased to, you know, get our criminal justice system under control. We've heard you. But what's hiding in the back end of that bill? Like, we will find out in the end, but is it actually going to help Canadians? I don't know. Remains to be seen. I don't have a lot of faith in anything Mark Carney says. So
no, absolutely, especially when it's so politically opportune for him to post this right now in this moment.
Yeah, it's bad taste. It's absolutely bad taste. Just like it was bad taste for him to run to Tumbler Ridge to take selfies right after, you know, nearly 24 people were hurt and a bunch of kids were killed. Same amount of tone deafness.
Yeah. To be expected from the Liberals. I mean, remember when Trudeau went over to Kamloops-Shushamwick First Nation after the allegation that there was 215 mass child graves, and he's like there with a little cross and teddy bear, just like putting on his full drama teacher
on a septic field. On a septic
joke.
Field.
Yeah. What a joke. There he is. Yeah, look, he's got the bear. It's just so perfectly positioned to be facing out and looking at the camera, and he's kneeled over. Like, what a show. What a show.
Isn't it gross? This is the performative politicking that I think is taking down the country.
Yes. Yeah, and making our streets increasingly unsafe. There it is, full display. But that's okay, because they have security, and you just have to fend for yourself while you're mostly unarmed, because also the Liberals are going to take all your guns. So, all right, we are running.
They can't take my craft scissors. Okay, they can't.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they can't take my little serrated crafting. I don't even know what they're called, where they make the fun pattern on the edges.
Oh, your pinking shears. Your pinking shears. Here's zigzag scissors. In my van, one of the security features I have is a Windex bottle filled with like Windex and sriracha. Because I will tell you one thing, it sprays 7 feet. So I have 7 feet between me and a bad guy. And it's pretty hard to see me when you've got a face full of Windex and sriracha sauce.
That is so funny.
But that's what females have to do in Canada, because we don't have the capacity to protect ourselves. Yeah.
Follow along for more safety tips from Lise Merle. A Windex bottle.
A super soaker with hot sauce in it, guys. Gives you at least 10 feet between you and the bad guy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we have to wrap things up. We've got a daily dose of cringe, but before we get into the cringe, I want to just throw to this report where I highlight the census. So we have agents all across the country showing up to average, severely normal Canadians' doors, compelling them to complete this government census. So the census happens every 5 years. And, I do see that there's some value in having some like basic statistical population level data for delivery of social service and these sorts of things. But increasingly, the census has become more and more invasive.
Yes, intrusive.
And and intrusive. And the fact that they're sending like repeated notices, text messages, calling, and then showing up unannounced on your private property to compel you to complete this, that just puts a bad taste in a lot of Canadians' mouths who are saying, our trust in this government has completely tanked the last few years. And showing up at my doorstep isn't really a way to like build that back up again. So I share the video here in this report. Maybe we want to just play the first little snippet. It's not the full thing, but you can watch this report for yourself. Let's just play the first, 30 seconds or so.
Legal obligation for us to get one from every property. You're right?
Yes.
Are you able to do one online, or would you like me to do one with you right now?
I'd prefer not to do it at all, actually.
Okay. There is a process for a formal refusal if that's the way that you would like to go. I just have to get
If it's anonymous, why are you showing up at my house?
It's not anonymous at all. No,
okay.
Definitely not. It asks you for your name, your birthday, everything. But it is legislated under the Statistics Act that every household in Canada has to participate.
Okay. I'm not comfortable handing.
Yeah, so there's some funny wording, and I have an interview. I go into it a little bit with line advocacy lawyer Daniel Freiheit about what your obligations are, what you can do, what you should be asking to make sure that these people showing up at your door are actually sworn enumerators working for Statistics Canada, because if they haven't sworn an oath, that's a major red flag. And we saw some people pretending to be enumerators heading into nursing homes and getting tons of data from elder. I mean, you could get a swath of data from people if you're just a bad actor. And so you want to protect yourself and make sure. But you know what? At some point, no has to be a full sentence and a full answer. And I think that we should have the right to just say no if we so please. This is my information, and I'm just not comfortable sharing it, especially with the way that the government's going and how they're using our data. Statistics Canada also sells this data to businesses, and they make anywhere from they make hundreds of millions of dollars a year compiling and then selling your data. So, I mean, yes, it's anonymized and it maybe doesn't have your identifiable information housed within the data that they sell, but they're making a lot of money off of your data. And what are we Canadians getting for any of it is what I'd like to know.
That's grotesque. They should be developing products and services for the people of Canada based on that data, not, shipping it off to the highest bidder on the database. That's what they should be doing. But like this, the whole concept of seeing census people descending upon the Canadian public sort of at the end of a census run is not unusual. They've done it for years. What has changed since the last census was taken is people's opinion of the government. And so any kickback, I got nothing against the people who have signed up to be a census enumerator in Canada. It's a great job for retirees. You know what I mean? It's a great job for retirees. Go around, ask people about their census forms and, talk to your neighbors. But the Canadian public has been given every reason on earth not to trust the government. And so any pushback that these census helpers, I don't know, what do you want to call them? Census takers?
Agents.
Agents. Thank you. Oh, good one. Yes.
Government agents.
Federal agents are, any pushback that these federal agents are getting on the doorsteps of Canadians is their own doing. And they should remember that. It's disrespectful to ask intrinsically private questions of people, especially when you don't know them. And it seems that the government of Canada is out of step with who their people are. So,
and the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms has also launched a judicial review into some of these more invasive questions. Yeah, I mean, so there's two different census. So there's the long form and then there's the short form. And the long form asks you things like, do you have air conditioning? How many TVs do you have in your bedrooms? How many bedrooms do you have in your home? How many bathrooms have a shower? They ask you about the sexual orientation of your children. Your gender identity, like it
not
is
happening.
Super,
not happening. Sorry, guys,
invasive.
not happening. Yeah,
and so the JCCF has launched a judicial review on charter grounds, because it begs the question, like, is this compelled disclosure? Is that not charter infringing?
To private details of your life.
Yeah,
like like the city that you pay your taxes to knows how many bedrooms you have and how many bathrooms you have. They would know that. But for the federal government to come, like, how long before some of these asylum seekers are being housed in your spare bedrooms, Canada?
You got a spare room? All right. Next homeless guy, he's local to you. Well, he's in.
Like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. No. Well, good for the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. They're always just on the forefront of really bringing these things and shining a light on them, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'm in no hurry to give the government any of my information this year. I don't know about you guys. Tell us in the comments. You guys doing the census? You guys doing the census right now? Or
it's funny because as I was working on this report, and it took me about a day or two to actually get it out, and I had already done the interview. And people were reaching out and they're like, they've showed up at my door too. They showed up. And so everybody's just kind of piling on, like, what do we do? Yeah. How do we deal with this? Because I have found, and maybe I'm just in an echo chamber, but so many Canadians have said, no, we're not doing the census. And now they're all getting agents knocking at their door, compelling them to complete the census. And so many people are just saying no, and you can tell that there's like
they're doing it as an act of civil disobedience. So you heard the woman in the clip being like, well, actually it's part of the act. Actually, it's part of the act, and you can see it right here. You have to be compliant. No, people have had it with government interference. They don't want the government in their business. The government is demanding it through the census, and we'll see what those results are like. So listen, certainly they're not going to come and haul you off to a gulag for not filling out your census. So it'll be interesting to see how many Canadians just outright refuse.
It's funny, I know we're running out of time, but actually they used to. You used to face imprisonment for not completing the census. Daniel Freiheit. No. So that was one, he says, this is one of the good things that Trudeau changed, was that you can no longer be jailed for not completing the census. And I break down in that report the two Canadian legal precedents that were, the most recent ones. It involved two senior elderly women. One was found guilty, one was found not guilty. They both had similar reasoning for not completing the census, which that it was tied to a U.S. Military company. And so they didn't want their data being collected through these platforms and these third-party companies. Sure. And so the one woman was found not guilty. She was a World War II veteran who didn't complete the census. It was like 2014. And the other one was, I think, 2015. But she was found guilty, and the government, or the Crown rather, made her complete 50 hours of community service. So you can face up to a $500 fine. That's for either refusal or not completing it, or misrepresenting your answer. So if you answer it incorrectly and knowingly kind of like fudge the data that you're submitting, you can be charged up to $500. That's the max. But it seems like more often than not, the government doesn't do anything and they just leave you alone, or you're made to do 50 hours of community service was the only real precedent I could see in terms of punishable enforcement.
I don't like this. I don't like
this. No, it's crazy. It needs to be fought. I'm glad the JCCF has launched this judicial review, and who knows, maybe they'll take on a case of, hey, maybe they'll take on my case, because I continued to say, thanks, I'll look into my options, but no thanks. Please leave my house now.
Right. Let me do my research. I don't do anything under distress. I don't do paperwork while under distress. That's what you say. Oh, excuse me. Well, under duress. Yeah, I don't sign anything while under duress. And then you wait for them to go away, and then you figure it out, Canada. But we can't wait to see what happens. Like, I can't wait to see what you guys are saying in the comments, whether you're doing it or not. It's the comments are a great litmus test to tell us what Canadians are doing. So thanks for putting your stuff in there.
Wrapping it up, we just have a post here. This comes from Regina. I don't know, maybe you have,
Okay, you
maybe you're
guys.
close to here. Lise, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, this is a post from the City of Regina Municipal Government. Get moving while celebrating Pride this month. Sounds like a win-win. Join us, they say, for Rainbow Zumba. This free drop-in workout class is part of Parks and Recreation Month, 6 to 7 on Tuesdays at the Cathedral Neighborhood Festival. Okay, or Center, excuse me. Regina, Saskatchewan is home to 1,000 homeless addicts on the street. We have to pay for the Pride Parade. We have to pay for the Pride policing. We have to pay for all of the festivals that go along with this. And now we are paying for the alphabetties to get alpha sweaties. This is where our tax dollars are going. We have 3 fantastic city councilors that are kind of against this, but I'm going to call out my city councilor because I know that he watches on occasion. George Sickleys, do something about this. Why are the taxpayers of Regina paying for alphabet people to sweat in the park? This is ridiculous. We have homeless people, we have crime, we have infrastructure issues, and we don't need to be paying. If they want to Zumba in the park by themselves, let them. But we should not be facilitating it or paying for it with taxpayer dollars. Thank you so much for listening to my rant.
Also, I just like, okay, so Zumba Pride, super weird. 18 plus. So like, are they scantily clad in the park? Why is
That's
it
a great
18 plus?
question. That's a great question. Why are we doing adults only entertainment for rainbow people in parks where kids could be?
Yeah, this seems
If
really
it's
weird.
18 plus, if it's 18 plus, why are kids able to see it?
And look, this one guy in the poster is doing like that would be a quite revealing move if you were scantily clad.
Could be.
And then their acronym here, it's always changing. Like, can we just stick to the one acronym? Because what is the P? Is it pansexual maybe? 2SLGBTQIAP plus.
I choose to think it means something else, but you can think it's pansexual. It's fine.
It's not far off, is it? Yeah, what happened to the WWIP?
MMIW2SLGBTQQIA plus.
I thought there was 2 A's. Doesn't the plus, isn't it like, anyway, I'm not even going to try to rationalize this.
In any case, the Canadian public, we're so tired. We have pride fatigue. We are done paying for this. We realize there is a cost, both societally and to our pocketbooks. Okay, there is no reason on earth why a municipal government should host alphabet sweat in the park. No, thank you. Unsubscribe. Thank you so much.
Stop the alphabet sweat.
Stop. But until we can take care of the woke out of some of our municipal governments, this is going to continue. But anyway, well, I hope it doesn't rain that day. Hope it doesn't rain that day.
Right. Yeah. Melt all the drag faces right off. The appropriator of women who are just like these flamboyant caricatures of women. That would be a sight to see, wouldn't it?
Sweat your drag face off.
Sweat your drag off. Sweat and rain on the drag. Okay.
Alphabet sweat in the park. Regina, Saskatchewan, so proud.
All I'm seeing this year when I look on social media, like there's these flag raising ceremonies, and for instance, the Cobourg Police put on their annual it's all free, taxpayer funded barbecue, and they're just so poorly attended. I think there's like 5 people there. It's just the police. It's just the police, maybe one advocate or like super vocal screaming screecher who wants this to be done, and like no one else cares.
The social media feedback, like the social media stats right now on Pride posts are really quite telling. They're getting a handful of likes over here in Saskatchewan, like a tiny meager handful of likes. On any of the Pride posts, Carla Beck went to the Pride Parade and said a bunch of stupid things into a microphone and posted about it. A handful of likes, like a tiny, tiny handful of likes. And what I'm finding that's different about Pride posts this year is they're not showing the humongous crowds and the scandalous merrymaking in the streets. It is a much more chill affair this year, and so it should be. We should not have sex fetishes in our streets. Like we shouldn't have fetish parades.
Let's not celebrate that.
Let's not. There are other things that we could concentrate on. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I noticed that too. It's awesome.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We're a little bit past the hour, so we'll wrap things up. Thanks to everyone in the studio who make sure that you can find our links, make sure that the stream runs as seamlessly as possible. And of course, we'll be back same time and place tomorrow for the Buffalo Roundtable, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. And thanks so much, Lise, for joining. As always, super fun to chat with you. And until next time, stay sane and question everything.
You know, folks, in my many years of reporting for Rebel News, I've covered corrupt politicians, rogue bureaucrats, and even parking enforcement officers who'd rather take a nap than write some tickets. But I have to say, this is a first. Apparently, I'm now available as a gift. Rebel News has launched something we're calling shoutouts. Here's the idea. You pick your favorite Rebel News journalist, maybe that's yours truly, or maybe it's someone else, that's okay. I won't take it personally. You tell us who the message is for, what the occasion is, and any details that'll make it feel personal. A name, an inside joke, a few things we should know about them. The more info you give us, the better the video. We'll record a selfie-style video and deliver it straight to your inbox within 3 business days. Birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, retirements, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas, you name it. Messages are available in 30, 60, and 90-second increments, starting at just $100. Need it fast? Add 24-hour rush delivery for an extra $50. And every dollar you spend goes directly toward supporting Rebel News and our independent journalism. No government bailouts here, no corporate strings, just Canadians helping Canadians to keep telling the truth. Give the gift no one saw coming. Visit rebelnews.com/shoutouts. That's rebelnews.com/shoutouts to make your request today. I will be waiting.